Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for the call. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. No, I missed that festival. I was in spring in Seattle for an Irish music festival that they do at Kel's Irish Pub in Seattle, and a lot of Northern Ireland bands come over for that. That's kind of a big deal. It's been going on for about 30 years. That was more traditional Irish with your strings and bodhrans and all of that, and that's great fun. That is so much fun. You cannot be at something like that and not have a great time and meet interesting people. It's just feel good.
Yeah. Now, do you remember some of the bands, caller, that you enjoyed at that festival?
Oh, I'll have to
Okay.
put that on my list for next.
Oh, great.
Oh,
And,
thank you.
and where was the festival last year in Brattleboro? Do you know where? Do you remember where it was in Brattleboro?
Looks like the Brattleboro Music Center.
Okay. Where? That's a new one. I haven't
Yeah,
heard of that.
I hadn't either, but that is.
Is that where the church is, right on Main Street? The old church on Main Street?
Oh yeah, there wouldn't be Irish music without
Looks
the
like,
pub.
yeah,
Yeah.
the New England Youth Theater on Flat Street, and also afternoon sessions at McNeil's Brewery.
Ah. Well, they got an Irish name, so that makes
Well,
sense.
of course, yes.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the call. And Noel, you had mentioned a band, a Plastic Rose, but what are some of the other bands that you've reviewed that you think are really good and maybe have a chance to make a mark?
Well, you had mentioned heavy metal. There's a heavy metal band called Potential Astronauts, and they're phenomenal. For jazz and rhythm and blues, this artist called Catherine Timoney, her voice will knock your socks off. She's amazing. Amanda St. John is another one, big powerhouse voice. She has a little bit country crossover in there. For your alternative rock kind of things in that vein, Venus Effects is a good band, and a band called the Wonder Villains is starting to get a lot of attention. They're starting to take off. You can start really seeing.
They have great band names.
I know, right?
I'm like listening to these names, and these are really cool names. The Jury Disagree. I think that one's.
Yeah.
I like that name.
I'm telling you, you got to check them out. If ever a band made me want to play guitar, it was them.
Mm-hmm.
The Dandy Horses. They're sort of a country pop crossover. Their recent EP is perfect. I mean, it was just submitted, completely polished, ready to go. It was a delight to review them, and that's sometimes not on the top of my list of favorite genres, but this knocked my socks off. So yeah, there's so much talent, and in every vein you can think of.
Huh, interesting. And then also too, now how many reviews have you done, and is this something that it's pretty much, it's like once a week, once a month? How often do you do the reviews for the Gigging Northern Ireland website?
Sometimes a couple times a week. Usually about once a week, maybe, depending. Sometimes some more than others, and other opportunities keep coming up, like we were talking about earlier, the non-Irish bands visiting Ireland. That's something that's coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done over 40 at this point, and been doing it for
now. Is this
not quite a
where
year.
do you get? Then I assume then they send you the album, or you
Yeah,
get the CD, or
it's
is
all
it?
done electronically.
Yeah.
So you can, it's emails and links to things like YouTube and SoundCloud, Reverb Nation. The artists will load up their demos, their EPs, their LPs.
Right, because that's what I was going to say. A
whichever.
lot of times this stuff is music that actually hasn't been put out to the public yet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times we get it ahead of time, ahead of launches and things. So so they can build a following before you want people to attend your launch and
Sure.
theoretically buy your record. So
Now, in doing the reviews itself, I mean, how long do you usually work on a review? I mean, and how long is it? It's obviously they're not super long. I mean, but long enough to get people an idea of what the band is like.
Right, exactly. And the focus of gigging Northern Ireland in particular is to support and encourage the local music scene, in particular up-and-comers. So you want to put that in as tight a package as you can. And it depends lengthwise on whether I'm reviewing a single or an EP or an LP. So anywhere from 100 to 200, 75 to 200 words.
Mm-hmm.
To just be concise and just address what you're addressing, each track or the standout bits in a single, for instance. There's always something that stands out that you draw on. But it can take anywhere from, a couple hours to a day.
Let me ask you, does it take longer to review a band that you don't like?
Well, to be honest, it hasn't come up. It's only come up in all this time. It's only come up once, and it wasn't that I didn't like him. It was just it wasn't ready for review yet. You could tell they sort of put the cart before the horse, and ultimately we went back to the band and said, "Hey, we're not ready. You're not ready for this just yet." I'm not sure how that was handled directly, but that was the gist. And it was, I didn't want to say anything negative. So I'd rather, hey, come back when you're ready, and then we can review it. But out of 45 or something, only one that's ever come up.
Yeah.
There's just really polished. They're ready to go. Most of them out of the box.
Noel, is there a certain genre or one or two genres that seem to be really, dominating the popularity in Ireland right now, in your experience?
Yeah, definitely. They like it hard and fast with the heavy metal and alternative rock, a little bit in the grunge and punk stuff. But there's also a nice wealth of singer-songwriter musicians, male, female, beautiful stuff. So it's across the board. But if you had to put it all into one, I'd definitely pop and rock music.
Who are some of the biggest influences for the modern music scene there in Ireland and Northern Ireland, whether they're Irish or not? Maybe they are American or British or from elsewhere. But who are do you think the Irish bands really look to as major influences in some of those genres?
Well, there's some legendary acts from Northern Ireland, and they're definitely proud of those. Thin Lizzy is from that part.
Yeah.
Van Morrison.
Sure.
Rory Gallagher, one of the greatest guitarists ever. So they have their own icons for the rest of us to aspire to. But what I found interesting just amongst meeting with the actual people, American country music really intrigues them. A lot of people I was surprised to find liked Johnny Cash, for instance, and American rhythm and blues, the good old school stuff, Sam and Dave and Wilson Pickett. And so you can feel that and hear it in the music, the influences of that, but done all fresh. And it's really fascinating to see. You can see the influence, but how it's turned, it has this whole new sound with this fresh perspective. So stuff that I took for granted, things like Johnny Cash, to hear it fresh coming from another continent is pretty cool.
I'm just happy that I got a mention of Rory Gallagher.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's great.
Right, yeah, you can't, there's the Rory Gallagher Festival that they host.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's the man over there. There's no doubt about it. He's the man everywhere.
I just remember
Great
this one bit where somebody at one point asked Jimi Hendrix. They said, "What does it feel like to be the greatest guitarist in the world?" And he said, "I don't know. Why don't you go ask Rory Gallagher?"
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So just a few minutes left here, Noel.
Sure.
Again, I know you had mentioned the Keene Music Festival. That is coming up again, and I know you love the Keene Music Festival.
I do. That's what got this whole thing started. Was the desire to do something to support local, to get those really standout up-and-comers the exposure they need to keep the momentum going and do what they need to do. It's a great experience. Everybody should take part in that. New England has an amazing amount of talent as well. They come from all over So yeah, that was a great experience for me.
Yeah, this year, the 2014 Keene Music Festival, it's coming up Saturday, August 30th. And you can go to their website at keenmusicfestival.org, and they've got a list of performers that are going to be there. And, you know, I went last year. It was really great just to kind of see really a diverse group of singer-songwriters. There was some reggae bands, there were some rock bands, there was some bluegrass.
Exactly. That's the goal, is to, you know, give everybody a shot. Yeah, what I had heard at the time, people were saying that it was one of the best festivals last year. People really responded to the diversity of artists, and Kevin Drummel does a fantastic job with that. He's very dedicated to that, and so kudos to him. It's a great event. Everybody should attend.
Excellent. Well, Noel, again, if people are interested in Northern Ireland music and getting your reviews and trying to figure out some of the really good Irish bands that you can get music from, you go to Gigging, Northern Ireland site. It's Gigging, GIGGINGNI.com. And they got a great website right there, and you can click on gig reviews, and then you see album reviews. Click on that, and you will see probably at least a good dozen bands right there that are reviewed by Noel, and get all the information on that. Well, Noel, I want to thank you very much for coming in and enlightening us on some Irish music.
Thank you, Noel.
Thank you.
Excellent. And we're going to take a break right now on Sound Off with myself, Greg Pregent, and Kyle Jarvis on AM 1290 and FM 107.5 and WKBKRadio.com. This program brought to you by Elm City Bagels and Deli on West Street in Keene. You can always call us with your comments and questions at 357-1290 or email us at gpregent@WKBKRadio.com. We'll be back the next